I did see somebody text in earlier that they were talking, and you may feel this way, but they didn't feel like the press conference yesterday was important.
That is how I feel.
I have felt like this defensive coordinator, because of how poorly the Cowboys defense played last year, was the most important hire they made all offseason. And
that I agree with.
And now the additions. You don't like press conferences in general,
exactly.
right? Like,
because one of the things that we've learned along the way is you only get so much of a real answer, and frequently it's off mic that you get the real answer. And so, yeah, it has nothing to do with Christian Parker himself. I'm just like, I'm not a big press conference person.
Yeah, and that's been the case, and I get that. But I saw somebody say that. I disagree. I think that getting to know Christian Parker is important for me, for what I want to know about what I expect of this defense. And I know history has taught us, and we're still in the mindset that the Cowboys front office is in the way and all these things, right? Like the Cowboys aren't going to change. Nothing's going to change. It feels that way. And quite honestly, the winning is the only thing that's going to change our mind about that. If you can consecutively put together winning seasons and go beyond the first round of the playoffs, your first playoff game, if you can do those things, then people's minds are going to change about what the Joneses' approach is.
Agreed.
The Joneses with Jason Garrett felt like they got to a point where they couldn't get any further with him, and they were just kind of bouncing back between 8-8 seasons and winning seasons.
Yes.
Then with Mike McCarthy, they won, and they kept telling us we hired him to get us over the hump. Mike McCarthy did not get them over the hump, so as his contract ran out, they said goodbye. It feels like they have given Brian Schottenheimer you want it, go get it.
Yes.
The green light to just go say, I'm going to go add this. I need this. I want this. And they've said, all right, fine, go make that happen. And maybe they did give that to McCarthy. But McCarthy was like, no, you guys do y'all's job. I'll take care of the coaching. It feels like Schottenheimer's more like, I'm perfectly fine playing GM also.
Yeah, and that's what we all have said we want. I believe that's what we all want, but that's at least what we've all said that we want, is a coach that has almost total autonomy. Maybe you're not going to get it all the way, but like way more than you've had. And like, let them sink or swim. We've seen the Jones family sink or swim, and for the last 30 years, they've sunk.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing is, sometimes people say, well, you don't want to change for change's sake. I agree with that a lot of the time, but not all of the time. Sometimes I absolutely think you need to change for change's sake, because like what you're doing is a disaster. We need to change. Change to what? Don't know, but it can't be this anymore. And that's the way I feel with the Jones family, is like, they're trying something different. Is it going to work? We'll see, but you needed to try something different.
All right, well then I did want to say, what did we learn from Christian Parker yesterday? Because I did hear some things that I liked. I did hear also Christy Scales got involved in the conversation where she said, you brought up Seneca and multiple other philosophers. This is the first time that's ever happened. And Christy Scales, anytime she talks, I'm happy. So it always makes me excited whenever she's involved. That being said...
And Blake fired off some quality questions.
Yes, he did. This is I think this is the most important thing that we got from him yesterday. Cut one, Alec, and this is, what's the defensive scheme?
Well, the first thing is we're going to be multiple. I think that whenever you form a defensive structure, it's about the players that you have. So core principles, we'll be a 3-4 by nature, but 4-3 spacing will be appropriate, 4-2-5 in nickel, different front structures, coverages behind it. But I would say being multiple is probably the most important thing about it.
Now, Kevin, he didn't just say multiple and leave it at that.
Yeah, no, he gave a distinct breakdown. And I like, what I really like that he said there is being multiple. Now, you can argue that you have to have multiple defensive looks to exist in 2026. But
agree.
What I really liked is that he strongly insinuated, if not flat out said, they have to have multiple looks, or else you need to do that because of the talent that you're going to have.
Yeah, you have to, because quarterbacks are as smart as they are now. No, not all quarterbacks. Some quarterbacks are still dumb, and some coaches are still dumb and don't know how to coach quarterbacks. Those things are true. But because quarterbacks are so smart, they can figure out, okay, your safety's moved, now I know how to attack you. Well, now if both of your safeties are down, they're thinking it's this, and then they break back 30 yards. You've confused even the Patrick Mahomes. Go look at Ted Wynn's breakdowns on the way that teams have confused Patrick Mahomes, and it's pretty brilliant stuff. And it all comes down to the disguising factors and the use of the talent. Well, he just broke that down for you. We're going to have pretty much a big three guys up in the front. We're going to try and win at the line there. We're going to have what looks like 4 linebackers, but one of those guys might be an edge rusher. Yeah. One of those guys might be, he might be a defensive lineman. He might be something else. But then we're going to have, and we talked about the importance of that nickel corner and how they're not even, the nickel is just going to be by name only at this point, because what we know of nickel was you were the smaller cornerback that handled slot receivers.
Yeah, and that's also why I think the term base defense is a little silly too. Yeah. Like, how often do you actually spend in your base defense?
Yeah, anyway? And we're a long way from, hey, line up and beat your guy, that's all we need.
Yeah.
That was the dinosaur approach. And we have phased past that because disguise is so important to pre-snap stuff. You're trying to say, how do we make a quarterback figure things out in the 3-second span after the snap? Not the 12 seconds before the snap where we're lined up and he knows now, and now he's got 15 seconds to make a decision. You need to shorten the window for how long he has to make his decision on where he wants to put the ball. And that's ultimately what Christian Parker's whole game plan is going to be about. And I liked hearing the multiple part, because a lot of times you're just like, we'll figure it out. Now,
oh man,
the one thing he did say was he wants to design it around the players.
Makes sense.
He doesn't have the players right now.
For sure.
Right now, like, he knows he has Quinnen Williams. He likes having Quinnen Williams up front. He talked about having what he felt was a pretty strong front with those guys. Now, obviously, he still needs another defensive end. Ezraku's got to grow. He's got to get to know Ezraku.
Yeah. What's your confidence level, just real quick? Do you believe he'll grow, though, right?
Ezraku?
Yeah.
Yes, I do. I liked what I saw, and here's the thing I also liked is over the season he developed. It's not like he just was on a flat plane the entire season. There were moments of, oh, dude, you can't do that. And then he learned from it. And Kevin, that was one of my favorite things. One of our old bosses, I had done something wrong, and he brought me in and he said, "Did you know the rule?" And I was like, "No, I never knew that." And he said, and I was like, I went to journalism. Like, what? I didn't know this. And he said, "Well, now you know the rule.
Yeah.
You can't break it again."
Yeah.
That was something that Christian Parker also mentioned. Hey, touching the stove.
Yes.
Is okay.
Yeah. Getting burned by the stove can be the best thing that can happen.
Because you never let that happen again. And that can be a big factor for you. And so he did let's go to cut 6 real quick. Are you scheme around players or players around the scheme guy?
I think you build it around the players. Of course, you want to have your core principles and foundational beliefs, but as you kind of move forward in the process, what do your guys do well? How can you put good players in highlighted positions? How can you create one-on-ones for certain guys? How you can protect certain guys? If we can win on blitzes on a running back, then we're going to blitz a lot. If we got good man-to-man corners, we're going to play man. If we have guys that are better with zone vision, we're going to play more zone. So, you want to build a package that has diversity and scheme, and then you want to, tailor it to the players that you have. And, of course, there are schematic fits. But I think the really good players are the ones that you can't peg them in a certain scheme, and that's the only way they can play football. You want to have guys that no matter what scheme they're in, they can be significant contributors, and then you want to just highlight it around their strengths.
That right there. Kevin, if you're looking for free agents and if you're looking for draft picks, and Bobby said this morning, we had the discussion with Bobby off air, and that was he thinks that the Cowboys are going to allocate resources to the defensive side of the ball in free agency and the draft, and it's going to be, Christian, what do you want? Because Schottenheimer kind of has what he needs other than maybe a tackle. But he kind of has what he can. He had a really good offense last year. Hopefully, if he has a really good defense, he takes those risks we're looking for. But he had a really good offense last year. So if you're looking for players, you're not necessarily looking for, does he fit this one technique? Does he fit this? Does he fit? He can play all over the field. And now I have multiple queens on the field. And when I say that, chessboard.
Yes, I
now I
understand.
have multiple players that can do different things, so you can't figure out what they're doing pre-snap.
And it feels like such a common sense philosophy, but one that we did not necessarily abide by.
No.
We being the Cowboys. So
Because this goes back to the question of identity. And they didn't know what their identity was. If your identity is we're gonna be a bunch of football players, this guy's gonna attack from here and here and here and here. And they are capable of it. You had guys that were kind of slotted into they're only capable of this. And if you ask them to do anything outside of that, it's going to look like a bunch of dudes just ran into each other. And ultimately last year, that happened a lot of times. You were asking a Kenneth Murray to do something he wasn't capable of doing. You're asking Donovan Wilson to come up and do things that go play center field. And he's like, I'm not good at that.
Right.
And then,
well, we need you to do it either way.
Yeah. And no matter what. Why? Because that's the scheme.
Yeah.
Well, that's not going to be catering to your player that well. Let's go ahead and hit cut 5 too on what he takes away from all the defensive coordinators he's worked with.
A lot of them have a lot of similarities but differences. I think foundationally, Vic Vance, Mike Pettin, Coach Elko, Ajero Evero all came out of a 3-4 structure. I think that once you get past that, from the fronts you build and the coverages you do and the personality on third down, red zone, you definitely have a mentality as a play caller, but I think that it's still going to be designed around the players that you have. So there's different nuances that I've taken from each one of them. And even people outside of that, as I've had extensive studies and you build relationships outside of the circle you've been in that you want to incorporate with what you want to do.
So, Kevin, I know he mentioned Elko, and you love hearing that, and that's exciting.
Absolutely.
Elko's got some really great stuff he does, especially on their third down defense is phenomenal. But you love the oh man, hold on, I don't want to give too much away. You think Reagan's a pretty good president? Had some pretty good thoughts on things.
He was very popular.
Very popular president.
That's what
Thank you. And but you also
non-political.
You can also see how this one has helped shape the country, and this one has helped shape the country.
Sure.
And they all kind of shape things. You didn't learn from one person how to do one thing.
No.
You learned from a lot of different people. So he takes those things. But he's not trying to recreate the wheel because he has a damn fine wheel already there. Well, how do I add something to the wheel to make it even better?
Especially when
That's what it sounds like to me.
And you realize how small the differences can be.
Yes.
Not for our defense, but just in general, how small the differences can be. If you can do that one or two little things, how much further that can propel you.